I'd read somewhere that in the years leading up to the First World War, a small though significant network of anarchists had made their presence felt in downtown Liverpool. It seems their use of direct action in affecting industrial disputes found plenty of scope for activity around the city, particularly in the Docklands. And at the same time, an element within the group had concentrated their efforts on developing new and distinct programmes of education. There was one event, an annual conference cum discussion group that emerged called Convencion Ferrer. From 1910, held on the 13th of October each year and named in honour of the Spanish educationalist Francisco Ferrer y Guardia, Convencion Ferrer provided a platform for anyone to propose for free and open discussion, any subject of their choosing. The contributions generally came from anonymous sources or from within the group itself. They were broad-ranging in their subject matter and had often been realised by undertaking some form of time travel. Liverpool, 13th of October 1910. The first meeting entailed the viewing of a small exhibition of the work of Michael the cartographer, then a debate examining the make-up of a prominent benevolence organisation, the Sons of Temperance, and finally a speech delivered by two young local men, Peter McCormack and Philip Rogers. Michael the cartographer approached the collector Victor Musgrave in the early 1980s. He gave no information as to his background. It seems he lived in isolation and spent long periods of time making detailed maps of non-existent places, always in felt-tip pen on paper, most of which he destroyed. The Sons of Temperance originated in the United States and established their first English division in Liverpool. 1910 would have marked their 60th year of operations. Widely regarded as a Masonic-like organisation, the movement often took the form of a religious festival and was referred to as a crusade. Drink became the demon, the pledge echoed baptism, and the solemn reading of the names of backsliders was a form of excommunication. The two local men, McCormack and Rogers, who appeared at the close of the conference, had apparently been executed at Lancaster in 1820. From a handbill entitled The Last Dying Speech, 22nd of April 1820. Philip Rogers, aged 23, and Peter McCormack, 26, for selling Bank of England notes at less price than their nominal value in Liverpool. According to the evidence on the trial of McCormack, it appears that the unhappy man sold 1 week with another at least 1,000 forged notes. The judge, in passing sentence on these unfortunate men, most solemnly admonished them to prepare for the speedy death which awaited them. His lordship observed that the extensive manner in which they had disseminated this pernicious traffic rendered it inconsistent with his duty to hold out to them the least shadow of mercy. Since their conviction, their behaviour has been in every degree such as might have been expected in their awful situation. They acknowledge the justness of his sentence, and they profess they shall die in peace with all men, in hopes of a speedy and joyful resurrection. "13th of October 1911, Liverpool. The second meeting involved a conversation regarding the practice of kiting, along with an appearance by the author Thomas de Quincey, closing with a report on the Belgian Congo sleeping sickness epidemic. Kiting was a slang term for the use of a checkbook and credit card reported as lost or stolen. The favoured purchases tended to be expensive items of clothing from exclusive designer stores. These would invariably be sold on to secure a cash return. Information gleaned from a phone call made between the speaker and an acquaintance related the ups and downs of kiting around a selection of London's upmarket boroughs. The second contribution was attributed to Thomas de Quincey. This from Confessions of an English Opium Eater, 1821. I often fell into these reveries upon taking opium, and more than once it happened to me on a summer night when I had been at an open window in a room from which I could overlook the sea at a mile below me and could command a view of the great town of L at about the same distance, that I absate from sunset to sunrise, motionless and without wishing to move. I shall be charged with mysticism, bohemianism, quietism, etc., but that shall not alarm me. The scene itself was somewhat typical of what took place in such a reverie. The town of L represented the earth, with its sorrows and its graves left behind, yet not out of sight, nor wholly forgotten. A research trip undertaken by the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine in 1904 at the behest of King Leopold II declared the parasitic disease sleeping sickness to be epidemic in parts of the Congo Free State. It had already claimed 250,000 lives in Uganda and was spreading through other African colonies. Their advice was to impose an immediate set of controls to stem the further spread of the outbreak. The subsequent attempt to contain sleeping sickness by the Belgian authorities entailed the restriction of movement for people living in infected areas. Many were confined to a cordon sanitaire or were limited in their passage from zone to zone by checkpoints and the possession of a medical passport.